Okay, let me. Okay, I started already the recording.
Yeah.
So welcome all the students. All students, right? I think they are coming in.
Yes,
this
sir.
semester, we have around 330 students.
Oh, okay.
330 students. What a huge number! Because
Yes.
this is the compulsory courses, right? Integrated design project is being listed in the program, in the core curriculum, that it is necessary for all students of engineering before graduation.
Oh, so now we have like students from other non-EEE background also.
No, they are all from the same faculty, but different program.
Oh,
Same faculty,
okay.
different program. They register under the same code, right? So we have electronics background students, and we also have these electrical background students.
Oh, okay, sir.
They're all mixed with the same coding, right? And same code.
Okay, sir.
And at the same time, I still hold the same principle. We are having this sharing session, right? We open for all, actually.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Not just the student, also the researchers and others who are interested at the topic as well.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay, so I have no limitation, right? Okay. So the session is yours, Dr. Arjun. It's yours.
Thank you, sir.
You may start now.
Sure. Thank you, sir. So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the UTHM management for providing me this opportunity again. I think this is my third time meeting all of you and sharing my experiences, knowledge, and skill sets in this field. So thanks a lot, sir, and thanks a lot UTHM College management for giving me this opportunity. So today's lecture series is on rapid prototyping techniques, rapid prototyping for building your minimum viable product. That's what this MVP stands. But before going into today's session, I want to give you a very short introduction of why I am having this lecture series and what is my motivation and what I want you to like take away from this entire lecture series. So this entire lecture series, I kind of call it as product thinking and entrepreneurship for electrical and electronics engineers. So all my lecture series, all my lectures kind of come under this.
Dr. Arjun.
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Arjun, may I request extra information on your works now? You are doing as a product manager and in iCana and Foxconn.
Yes.
I think a lot of students, including myself, we are very interested at the company and the background of this iCana and Foxconn. Right? I heard about Foxconn before, but I'm not too sure about iCana. Is it possible to have a brief background on the work that you are doing?
Sure, sir. Sure. So probably in the slide that I introduce myself, I will give more.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes,
sure, sir. Yes. So all my lecture, like the subsequent lectures, the last lecture that I had, which is fascinating journey into electronics and integrated circuits. Today's lecture on rapid prototyping and all my upcoming lectures are kind of grouped together in this broad topic of product thinking and entrepreneurship for electrical and electronic engineers. So that's my motivation for all this lecture. I want you to think about how to convert your IDP EDP project that you are doing currently into a real startup venture. So I am going to like give you a lot of tips and techniques for making you think about how you can convert your IDP EDP project into a real startup venture. So that is the key aim of this entire lecture series. So let me give you a short introduction about myself. So myself, Dr. Arjun. So I completed my master's in integrated circuit design at Technical University of Munich, Germany, and then did my PhD in electrical and electronics engineering in Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, where my PhD was an industry-sponsored PhD, which was sponsored by NXP Semiconductors. So both my master's and PhD was on design and development of low power integrated circuits for medical implant applications and energy harvesting applications. So after doing my PhD, I got an opportunity to start up my own venture, which is called as Sepsitron. I started a venture 3 years before in Singapore, which was a medical diagnostics startup. So I kind of like found a co-founder for my company, and then started this venture in Singapore 3 years before, where we also got some investment from some of the world's leading investors and startup accelerators like Entrepreneur First, which is called as EF, and Hacks, which is a hardware accelerator, which is based in Shenzhen. So I was running the company as its co-founder and CTO. Because of some works that are yet to be done with the company, I had to think of jumping into some other opportunity, because it's a medical diagnostic startup that we were doing, and I was handling all the mechanical design, electronic design, software development and things like that, and my co-founder was handling all the biological side of things like clinical validation, getting patient samples and testing. So we were like doing all of these things on our own, and then finally we had to integrate, but then we had to couple of times stop the work because of this COVID restrictions, where hospitals became overwhelmed with a lot of COVID patients, and our work kind of it was like a speed breakers. We had to face a lot of speed breakers, so I had to take a brief break from my startup venture, and my co-founder is currently continuing to do all the biological experiments. So then I joined very recently, probably around 4 months back. I very recently joined iCana, which is a fabless RFIC company, where we design and develop RFICs for 5G wireless infrastructure, automotive applications, electric vehicles, and we are a part of Foxconn. I hope you all know about Foxconn, which is the leading contract electronics manufacturing company. Probably they manufacture, Foxconn manufactures most of the Apple iPhones and all other consumer electronic devices like laptops, smartphones and things like that. But Foxconn recently started to acquire many companies to widen their portfolio. So they very recently acquired iCana, which is the company which I'm working currently as a product manager, and we are basically developing all the RFICs for 5G wireless infrastructure and electric vehicles, because Foxconn also has secured a lot of other electric vehicle companies as well. So they want to acquire companies that are in this space, so that they can safeguard their supply chain. So basically we design a chip, and that chip will eventually be used by Foxconn for their own purposes, it will go into their electric vehicles and things like that. So that is a little bit introduction about the company, and I am currently working as a product manager there, where I oversee all the new product developments and new product introduction, kind of managing the new product introduction flow in the company. So let's jump into today's session. So I want to make this session a little bit interactive, so that it's not like a one-way communication where I speak and you all only listen. I want to make this a little bit interactive, as always I do with all my talks. So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. So please don't feel shy to answer those, even if it is wrong. It's very well and good. We are all here to learn from each other. So don't feel shy to unmute yourself and answer my questions, or even you can type it in the chat also. So my very question for you: what is a prototype? So if I tell you this term called prototype, what comes to your mind immediately?
It's a device we create before doing the official one. So
okay.
Something, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's a device that we do before we embark on doing a bigger project or things like that. Yes, a sample design. Yes, is correct answer. So yes, a prototype is kind of a yearly working model of a design. But the most important point that I want to make here is, because we are currently speaking about converting your IDP EDP project into a startup venture. So if you want to build a startup, then you need to do lot of lot of validations. You need to do lot of experiments. You need to validate all of those experiments, and you need to speak with your potential customers, like show them something to see if it is good enough for them. Show them something if to check if they will be interested to buy what you are building. So that's the context we are speaking about. So basically, prototype here means, yes, it's a yearly working model, but the primary aim of doing this prototype is to gain feedback and rapidly experiment with ideas. Because as I said before, when you are building a startup, you should not feel afraid to fail, basically, because the very purpose of doing a startup is to like basically like get something that is big enough, like do something that is big enough so that you can build a big company. So if you take any big company that is today, it all started as a very small company, like Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla. Like all these companies started very, very small, basically inside a 100 square feet room, basically inside a car garage, and they are now like billion-dollar companies. So all of these companies were basically at the very beginning stage. They were like a startup, and they didn't like start to immediately build what they are doing now. So if you take IBM, basically IBM is currently into a lot of cloud, artificial intelligence, machine learning. But back in the olden days, if you see, like IBM was basically manufacturing and supplying laptops. But in today's world, like you really can't see a IBM laptop. Like it's all like either Lenovo, Dell, HP, or Apple. So basically, they start the company with doing something, and of course, like over the period of time, like something works, something doesn't work, and they kind of like adjust themselves. They kind of like course correct themselves to what they are doing now. So we should not feel afraid to fail. So so that is why, like, we need to do a lot of prototypes. If you have an idea, it is instead of just going and sharing this idea with the outside world, you just quickly do a prototype, and you show it to people who you think you will be interested in that idea. Then get feedback from them, see if it is good enough or not. If it is good enough, fine, like further fine tune that prototype to make it make something make an improved version. Or if it is not good enough, just like throw that prototype, just get what you learned from doing that prototyping exercise, then use that learning to do another prototype. So yes, it's basically an experimental model, early working model of a design or an idea that you use to gain feedback, rapidly experiment with ideas, test it before fully building the solution. Why it is so? Because many people, what they will do is, like, when they have a startup idea, they will immediately start to build the full solution without even thinking of whether people will be interested to buy the solution or not, without even thinking whether we will have the money to like fully build the solution and like commercialize it. So people immediately jump to start building it by spending their money. So that's where like a lot of failures happen. Because see, if I have like $5,000 in my bank account and I suddenly get an idea, and if I just use that $5,000 to like build a full solution that is like an accurate representation of what my idea is, and then I go to like potential customers, and I see and I speak with them and find out that like maybe they already have such a solution, or they are not interested in that solution, or the problem that I thought that they are having is not really the problem they are having, and maybe they are having some other problems and they are looking for some other solution. Then what will happen? Your $5,000 is gone, right? Like then basically like you come to zero. Like you don't have any money to like then proceed with whatever idea you have. So this is where like most of the startups fail and most of the entrepreneurs fail. So this is why rapid prototyping becomes very important. Like basically, if you have like $5,000, like just spend like $10, $20, or maximum like $50 or $100 to quickly build something, and then show it to your customer and see if it is good enough or not. If it is good enough, fine and good. But if it's not good, then probably you are just going to lose only $50. But at the same time, you have learned something doing that exercise, and you have learned something from your customer. So without having anything, you can't learn anything from your customer. Without having anything, you can't show anything to your customer, and you can't even like make them to like speak with you even. So that is why this rapid prototyping becomes very important. And in today's session, I'm going to share with you a lot of techniques that startups primarily use to rapidly prototype with their ideas. So even when you are doing your IDP EDP project, you could even like do many prototypes like this before you finally come up with a fully working solution. So there's a question: is prototype a fully functional product? I would not say it is a fully functional product. A prototype is the bare minimum product that you can show, which has some functionality for the user to test it. So basically, if the user requires something that they want to like so for example, if the user's problem is traveling from point A to point B in 100 kilometers, then your prototype should be able to at least make the user to travel from point A to point B at least at 5 kilometer speed or 10 kilometer speed. Even though you don't give that full functionality, you are giving them some functionality so that they can test it, and so that they can use it and test it and give you their feedback, with which you can further improve on towards what they are finally aspiring for. So that is what a prototype is. So yeah, as I told you before why we should do rapid prototyping, I gave you like a couple of examples. So to validate new product ideas with the least amount of resources, and validating ideas before business investment reduces significant risks and cost. The main thing here to take away from this entire slide is like validation is more important than ideas in today's world. Back in the olden days, like 10 years before or like 15 years before, people didn't have much ideas. Like if you go on, like if you go to a place, and if you tell like 5 different ideas or 10 different ideas, you will be projected like a hero, because like back in the olden days, people didn't have access to information. Like there was no internet, there was no laptop, there was no smartphone like 10-15 years before. Right? All were like just taking off. So when I was in my school days, like there was no smartphone. Like internet was there, but it was like very slow. Like basically it was using the telephone cables. Basically we call it as dial-up internet, where the speed of the internet was like probably like 100 kilobytes per second. Can you even imagine? Like in today's world, like we are speaking about like speaking like 300 500 megabytes per second, and even like 1 Gbps speed. But back in the olden days, like it was like 100 kilobytes per second. So there was no easy access to information. And if you were able to like give some ideas, like people thought, oh okay, this person is like very well educated, like he has a lot of knowledge and he's able to give a lot of ideas. But in today's world, everyone has equal access to information. Everyone uses internet, everyone have a smartphone, everyone has a laptop. The cost of using internet is like very low these days, that it has become like a commodity basically. So it's like the everyday, like we wake up just by seeing our mobile phone, right? Like we wake up and what we immediately do, like most of the people immediately like check whether they received any message in WhatsApp. They check their Instagram or Facebook. So ideas are everywhere currently. In today's world, ideas are everywhere. Everyone can like have 100 different ideas. Everyone can have 1,000 different ideas. But validation is very important. Everyone can like have 100 ideas, but whether those ideas are validated or not, whether those ideas have a real business potential or not, finding out this is what is very important for a startup venture. So we can come up with many number of projects. Like if you just have an Arduino board, if you have a Raspberry Pi board, we can build like 100 different types of products with it. But whether someone will be interested to buy that product or not is what we need to find out if we want to really become an entrepreneur. And that is where rapid prototyping will help you. Will help you to validate your ideas without spending a lot of money, without spending a lot of resources. Okay, so there are only two types of prototypes. So when I say like prototypes, like don't think that it is going to be like so big, like it is something like a very difficult task. It requires like a PhD level kind of education to do the prototyping. It is definitely not. So I'm going to like give you like lot of examples where you can like easily prototype your idea with whatever you have with you right now. So there are like only two types of prototypes. One is called the low fidelity prototype and one is called high fidelity prototype. And basically fidelity refers to the visual appearance and degree of functionality of the prototype. So I got one question where it was like whether prototype is considered a fully functional product or not. It also depends on the fidelity. So if it is a high fidelity prototype, basically the visual appearance of that prototype and the degree of functionality that prototype provides is very closer to the end product itself. But if it is a low fidelity prototype, then the visual appearance and degree of functionality is like very low when compared with what the real product will look like. So and prototyping is different for hardware and software. So in today's world, like there are many different ways you can start up a venture. It's not about always you need to come up with a hardware startup, or it's not always you need to come up with a software product. Of course, if you do hardware, if you do any hardware, software becomes an integral part of every hardware in today's world. You can't really do any hardware without any software, like at least in today's world, because like software kinds of like gives that intelligence for all the hardware that we develop. But of course, there are pure software based products that you can develop without requiring any hardware. So as an engineer, basically we need to know both of these things. We need to, especially as an electrical and electronic engineer, we need to know how to build a hardware. We also need to know how to build a software. So we need to know how to develop a mobile application or a web application or a website, and we also need to know how to develop some hardware prototype and like how to code it intelligently so that it becomes like smart enough to do the task. So prototyping is different for hardware and software. So let's see some of the examples for hardware based prototyping. So in the hardware world itself, there are like two types. One is like electronics and one is just physical. So you can see that if it is just a physical prototype, of course like these physical prototypes will also have some electronics embedded into it, but even before that, if we want to validate certain things, we can just do a physical prototype without even thinking about embedding the electronics into it. So some of the physical prototypes are basically can be done by using 3D printing, foam board, cardboard, and Lego blocks. So if you take this 3D printing, this is like if some in today's world, if someone says prototyping, like everyone will like mostly 80% of the people will mean 3D printing. So 3D printers have become more like a commodity these days, like how we have a paper, a laser jet or inkjet printer in our home. Like maybe like after 5 or 10 years, like every home will have a 3D printer. So that's how 3D printers have become. It's also very cheap. Like there are like, of course, there are expensive 3D printers available, but you can even get some cheap 3D printers like for even like $200, something like that. So I even have a 3D printer at my home, which I bought for probably around like $200. So using this 3D, why should we use a 3D printer? So basically 3D printing kinds of like gives you some advantages which a foam board or a cardboard or a Lego block does not provide you. So 3D printing is mainly used for like building the hardware enclosures, building a physical prototype that needs to be validated for how it looks like, something like that. So in the medical field, like 3D printers are basically used to build real sized organs of the human body to study them before the doctors do some kind of surgery. So basically, for example, if someone needs to be done a open heart surgery for removing some block, the doctors can like scan the heart of the patient basically using some ultrasonic sensors. So basically they can scan the entire heart of the patient, and they can like create it as they can reconstruct that scan into a 3D model, which can be really printed using plastic, or like probably like there are many different materials you can use for 3D printing. You can even use chocolate for 3D printing. Like 3D printers are used in food industry, where you can use chocolate, different kinds of syrups to kind of like come up with your own version of chocolate. 3D printers are used in bigger manufacturing industries to even like produce smaller parts that can be easily replaced and things like that. So there are like many materials. You can do metal 3D printing, you can do plastic 3D printing, you can do like cellular based 3D printing. Cellular means like here I am speaking about this soft tissue, like such kinds, like which really mimics how the human organs look like. Then you can use food 3D printing and things like that. So basically the doctor can like reconstruct the heart, and they can like study it before going into the operation theater to precisely see where the block is, how they are going to operate, how they are going to remove the block and things like that. So this kinds of like gives them a better helps them to make better informed decisions, because once they very well know where the block is and how they are going to operate, how they are going to remove the blocks, once they know everything, it is going to become very easier for the doctor to go into the operation theater and do this operation and like succeed with this operation. So this is where like 3D printing helps. And of course, you can use foam board, cardboard, and Lego blocks to kind of like prototype your idea. So if you want to build a robotic arm, like don't even like first build a robotic arm with electronics. Like just use cardboard or foam board to like really see how the arm is going to look like, and like maybe you go and speak with some person who's having this disability and like give them this cardboard version to see whether they are comfortable with it or not. So these kind of interactions gives you a lot of ideas with which you can really build the final fully functional product. And of course, if you want to build anything using electronics, the most old way of doing prototyping is breadboarding, where you just take a breadboard, you just like plug different wires into it, and basically like test whether your circuit works or not. And of course, it is the most difficult way to do it, because like you don't even know, like if some wire kinds of like comes off, you don't even know which wire came off. But that is the most cheap and efficient way of doing the prototype. Imagine you want to like build a PCB, then it's going to take you a lot of time and money. So breadboarding is a very efficient way to prototype all your electronics. And the very purpose of the Raspberry Pi board, Arduino board, is basically to help you to do prototyping. Basically, not making you to really build the electronics of like this microprocessor or microcontroller board, but just quickly using it to build whatever application you want to do. So if you want to do a drone, if you want to do some, if you want to build a drone, if you want to build a robot, like you need not worry about like using this breadboard, and you need not worry about like using a circuit to like designing a PCB and like fabricating it and like then assembling it. You need not worry about all these things. You just get a Raspberry Pi board or Arduino board, and then you just like plug it into your you just plug your sensors into it, like plug your output devices like motors or whatever you have, and then you use 3D printer to build a good enclosure, and then you put all your electronics into the enclosure, and that's it. Like it's now like a fully functional product. So there's a question: is all innovator required to be skillful in all aspect to convert idea into a prototype? Yes, definitely. Like we all need to have that prototyping skill set, but like developing the skills for prototyping is basically everyone has that. Basically, I would not say that like no one has the skill to come up with a prototype. Basically, it's just we all have a lot of ideas. Like we all have like even within like 10-15 seconds you can like come up with like 10 different ideas. So it's all about how to like giving a life to that idea, like giving some sort of a form to that idea so that like people can like really use it and like give you that feedback. So that is what prototyping is all about, because otherwise if you just go and like convey your idea to someone, like they will not be able to really understand it. Like some few people may understand, few people may not understand, few people may misinterpret something else, and then finally you build something and you go and show it to them and they will say, oh, I was like thinking that you are building something else. This is not what I was like thinking. So in order to like remove all of these bottlenecks, that's why like we need to like quickly do some prototype and like even test it. So if someone does not even have a robotic, does not even need a robotic arm, then why should we even like build a fully functional robotic arm and give it to them? Just like use a cardboard and like first validate whether they will need a robotic arm or not. So that is our like first stage of like validation. And once we have confirmed that yes, they are in need of a robotic arm, they want a robotic arm, then we can like start to use this Raspberry Pi board, like such like quick prototyping solutions, and then build the robotic arm and then give it to them. And once they are convinced, then we can like start to really integrate all of these electronics into a smaller form factor, and then we can really start to like use 3D printer and things like that to build a fully functional product, and we can use it to test it. And once they are okay with it, then we can go for mass production. So without validating all of these things, if we directly go into mass production, then we are going to lose a lot of money, because sometimes like even manufacturing one PCB board, because like every hardware manufacturers will have a minimum order quantity. So even if you like whether you want like 10 boards or like one board, you are going to pay the same cost. Like sometimes the minimum order quantity will be 50. So even if you just get one PCB board to be fabricated, like basically the manufacturer is going to like charge you for the 50 boards, and he is going to deliver you 50 boards. So we all have that minimum order quantity. So if you go to some plastics manufacturer and say them that you want one arm like this, basically they will create the mold, which is the most expensive of this plastic manufacturing. And once they create this mold, they can like manufacture like thousands or like 10,000s of such arms with that mold basically. So creating that, the initial investment is what is very costly. So that is why rapid prototyping basically helps you to reduce all of these costs. Okay, so I'm going to now show you an example. So Lego blocks. So we all would have played with Lego blocks one time in our life, right? Like when we were a kid, like everyone would have like used this Lego blocks. So when I showed you this Lego block, you can think, oh, like what can we do with this Lego block? Lego block is just like a like something like a game for kids to play with. But I'm going to now show you a video of how Lego company kind of came up with this advertisement to show the potential of like using Lego blocks. So this Lego company like kind of built a fully functional, real-sized Bugatti car with just Lego blocks. And like really, they drove around this car to show them the power and the kind of like imagination you can do with just these tiny blocks. So I'm going to now play you this video.
Win at work by communicating effectively with Grammarly.
Meet Ty. He is emailing a difficult client.
I think we should
We'd like to say that with Lego Technic, you can build for real. And to prove this isn't just something we say.
So can you see my screen and also like hear the audio?
Yes, can.
Okay.
But something we mean. And to prove this isn't just something we say, but something we mean, we decided to build a car, a true copy of a Bugatti Chiron. And just to make things even more difficult for ourselves, we decided we'd also take our car for a drive. Trying to match the elegant curves of the Bugatti Chiron using only Lego Technic elements was the first challenge. Creating the engine was the second. As if constructing the car in Lego Technic wasn't enough, we also decided we'd like to power it with small Lego Technic power function motors as well. It sounded plausible on paper, but was it even possible? Would our car actually drive? Who better to find out than the guy who test drove the real Bugatti Chiron during its development? We did our last-minute checks, held our breaths, and sent him on his way. Amazing Lego Technic car just kept on going. Lego Technic. Build for real.
Okay, so hope you saw this video, and so if you would have realized that like just by using this tiny Lego blocks, they were even like able to build a real sized car, which was kind of like functional also. Like of course it can't really match the speed of the real car. The real Bugatti car is kind of a race car which can go at like 200, probably even like 300 kilometers per hour speeds, but probably this Lego car can go like up to like 30 or like 40 kilometers per hour speed, but see like how it is very realistic, like how it is like very close to the end product. Like of course the same colors, like exactly the same size, it is able to like also function. So can you let me know what fidelity is this prototype, whether it is a low fidelity prototype or a high fidelity prototype? Any guess? Any guess? So before I showed you like one slide where I told you there are only two types of prototype, like low fidelity and high fidelity prototype. So can anyone guess?
High fidelity.
Yes, it's a high fidelity prototype because it's very close to the real end product, which is the car itself. So it looks exactly similar to the car. The visual appearance of the prototype looks very similar to the real product. The color of the prototype looks very similar to the real product. It is also providing some functionality similar to the real product for the user to use it, test it, and give you some feedback. So yes, it's a high fidelity prototype. So don't underestimate even small things like cardboard, Lego blocks, foam board for doing prototypes. Like if you like, you should all have that like creativity of like creating different prototypes with whatever you have. So that is the main purpose of this presentation. So probably like we could even like use cardboard. So if you are building some kind of a mechanical device or some kind of like a juicer or like machine like this, probably you can use a cardboard or a foam board to basically kind of like show your customer how it is going to look like where you are going to have this control buttons, how the operation of the product is going to look like and things like that. So can anyone guess what fidelity this prototype is? Like this cardboard based juicer prototype? Can anyone guess? Yes, it's a low fidelity prototype because it is not very close to how the real product looks like. It does not even have the functionality. So you can see that there is not even this knob of the control knob is not present. So basically this is just to get some quick feedback from your customer, whether they are okay with this size, whether they are like okay with this appearance of the product and things like that. So each version of your prototype, basically you develop that prototype with some aim. Basically, the aim is not to like force your prototype into your user. The aim is to learn something from your user. So whenever you build a prototype, it's not like you go to your user and like say them, oh, I have made this prototype, just use it. It's not like that. Like you need to like be proactive in like asking questions to them. You need to like find out, because the whatever prototype you develop, you need to have some end goal. Whether, so if you want to validate the appearance and the size of the product, then basically you just do a low fidelity prototype. You just go to your end customer and then like show them this model. You ask them whether it is like whether they're okay with the size, like where they are going to place this product, and like what is the space constraint over there, and like quickly validate these things. That's it. So once you have validated it, then you can start to build more functional functions into it, and then you can validate each and every function of your prototype. So it needs to be kind of a progressive thing. It's not like you directly build the end product and just go and like show it to your customer. Okay, so these are some of the prototypes that I did when I was running my own company. So since I told that I was working on a medical diagnostic device, so basically these are some of the prototypes that I did. So initially I did I quickly did a foam board based model, and then I went to the hospital. I showed this to the doctors. I showed this to the lab technicians. I kind of like placed this instrument in the lab and like kind of like got lot of validations, and then found out that like it kinds of like it was little bit bigger for them to use. So then I kind of started to build many other versions using the foam board itself, and finally I came up with this version in the foam board initially to validate, and then after that I kind of like did a 3D printed model of the entire device, and then placed all the electronics into the 3D printed enclosure and kind of like started to validate it. So even after doing a lot of iterations, I had to I made some mistakes, because you can see that even after doing a lot of iterations, somehow the screws were not fitting properly in my 3D printed model. So prototyping is kind of an iterative process. Like you do like many different prototypes till you finally achieve that the good functionality without any mistakes. So these are how you prototype your hardware ideas basically. So you start with a low fidelity prototype, and then you go to a high fidelity prototype. And for software, of course, it is the same flow. You are not going to immediately build a software application and to show your customer. So basically, again, you are going to do some low fidelity prototype. So the low fidelity prototype is nothing but you just like draw it. You just draw how your mobile application is going to look like, how your software is going to look like, what are all the different screens of your software. You just like draw different pieces of how your software is going to work like, and then basically you just like show it to them. So basically you take this to the customer and like show it to them. Okay, if you press this button, like this window is going to now come, and like this window is going to show you these things. And when you press this button, like this window is going to come and it is going to like show you these things. So why do we even need to do this? Can anyone say, like, can anyone say why do we even need to do this? Why do we even need to like draw this application and like show it to the customer? Any guess?
To figure out the overview of the product.
Can you repeat again?
Maybe to give a clear picture of the product, means of the final product.
Okay, so that is what exactly you shouldn't do it. So whenever you are approaching any customer, if you think that you are going to give you the overview of the product, then it's already you have came out of that experimental mindset. You already are now having a mindset of like what you are doing is correct, and you are just explaining it to your customer. But the aim of doing the prototype is to validate whether your approach is even correct or not. So the aim of even like first drawing out this sketch is whether the customer even needs the application or not. So this is how you need to like always approach things. Like it's not like you do something and you should not go to your customer in an explainer mindset. You should go to your customer with an experimental mindset. You should go to your customer with that validating mindset, and you should actively find ways to find identify loopholes that you have in your ideas. So imagine you are so in many people like these days, many people like do some healthcare applications for elderly people and things like that. But no one really thinks that elderly people like are not comfortable even in using smartphones and mobile phones. So if you do some application and you go and like give it to them, they are not going to be comfortable in using it. Howsoever simplified your application is going to look like, they are not going to feel comfortable in using it. So these are few people who are like very reluctant to technology. They are not very comfortable with technology. Probably like people at their like 70s, 80s. Like of course, like few people are like still want to like try out these things, but like many of the old people are not like easily interested to use such mobile applications, or even they are not even interested to use such smartphones. So this is where like doing a simple low fidelity prototype will help you to validate whether your idea of developing an application is good enough or not. If your idea of developing the application is bad, then you just like forget this idea and you start with a new idea. It is going to now save you a lot of time and money. If you directly go and build a mobile application, of course, like you can learn a lot by building a mobile application, but if you spend some money, spend a lot of time in building a mobile application, and then you go to the customer and show it to them, probably like they don't like a mobile application, then it's all like kind of like wasted effort. So this is why you always need to have that mindset of like experimenting things, validating things. It's not like you go and like explain things. The explanation stage finally comes when you have the final product. So that final product comes when you have gone through a lot of different prototypes, and you have kind of like iterated many different versions of your prototype, and finally you are now having the final prototype with which you are going to start the product development. So with which you are going to like really develop application, or with which you are going to really manufacture this hardware product. So this is where you need to have that explaining mindset. So finally you go and like explain, okay, this is how my juicer machine is going to look like. I'm going to have the knob here, like you press this, like your juice will come in like 5 minutes, something like that. So then everything is fine. Then you can mass manufacture it and like commercialize it. So that's when you need to have that final mindset. So how ready and the expectation of a customer when a prototype is presented, should the presenter need to clarify it? Yes, of course, like you always need to say that it's a prototype, because sometimes people will think that this is your final product. So I have like went into this situation many different times, because I was like working with a lot of doctors and lab technicians. When I went with the foam board, people started to like laugh at me. People were thinking, oh, this guy even like because see, when I go and like tell them that I have a PhD, and when I go with the foam board prototype, what will they think of me? Like they were literally laughing. Oh, like you told you have a PhD, but then like you are bringing something that even a school student can do it. But that's not the motivation of why I am doing it. Like I know it is a very small thing to do, and I know it is like people are not going to be happy with what I'm going to show. But as an entrepreneur, I need to save money, right? I need to save my time, I need to save my efforts, I need to like save my money. If I like the same people who is going to laugh at you, they are not going to pay you like $10,000 when you have spent $10,000 to do it. If you go and like say them that you spent $10,000 to do it, and whether they are interested to buy it, then they will say no, we will not buy it. Like we will not give you like any rupees or any money to do this. So these things happen. So that is why you need to, in the very beginning itself, you need to tell them that, see, this is a prototype, and the agenda of this prototype is to validate certain things with which we can start to build the fully functional product. So you need to always like clearly say them that it's a prototype. So yes, low fidelity prototype, you just like sketch it, and then once you have validated whether you even need a mobile application or a software application or a website, then you can start to wireframe it. And this wireframe is where you will now place all the elements of your application and kind of like show them. So what is the purpose of this wireframe now? Can anyone guess? What is the purpose of this wireframe? Any guess? So this is where you go into little bit of an explainer mindset, and of course, like you should also have that validating mindset also. So any guess why should we need a wireframe?
We need to show this wireframe to show the architecture and the design by the pages that let's say our program. So let's say our program has a certain pages. So we need to show this wireframe diagram to the customer to present the architecture information.
Yes. So very correct answer. Thank you. So the purpose of the wireframe is to make them understand how your application is going to look like, whether they are like finding it difficult to like navigate across the different pages, whether they are finding it difficult to like find out where the information is and things like that. So we all know that like in YouTube, like whatever application, we all know that like probably like the username, the user account settings, all are kind of in the top right corner, right? So probably if one fine day, if suddenly like YouTube or like Facebook, like suddenly they switch this to somewhere else, like you are going to find it very difficult to like find this information, right? So this is where like now you go into a little bit of an explainer mindset. Like you go now tell them that, okay, this is where you can now see your profile picture. This is where you can now see your settings. This is where you are going to see the recommended videos and things like that. And now they are going to like now interact with it and see. And if they are going to find it difficult to navigate around, then probably you can like now like place these elements at different parts of the application and things like that. So you will go into this stage only after validating the sketches, or only after validating whether they even need a mobile application or a website or a web application. And finally, at last, after you have done this wireframe, then you go to a mockup, which is where you kind of realistically show how the application is going to perform, how the application is going to look like, what are all the colors of the application and things like that. So there are like a few different tools. I'm going to like also show you, like probably I can like put it in the chat window also. So there are like tools like Marvel, InVision, Figma, like there are like many other tools, like, but these are some tools that are kind of like many startup companies use, and even like bigger companies also use. So Marvel, InVision, Figma. So these tools, with these tools, you can basically build such mockups that are like realistically looking like a end product, and then sometimes you can even like make it little bit functional also, like you can make it like animated also. Of course, like it's all front end, there is no back end, there is no data storage and things like that, but the user can like kind of interact with your application, so that like the user can give you more feedback with whether they are like finding it easier or finding it difficult to navigate around with your application. So yes, so a low fidelity and high fidelity prototype, basically you always start with low fidelity prototype. The main purpose of doing the low fidelity prototype is you are still in that exploration mindset. You haven't like finalized what you are going to do it. Like if you directly jump into after finalizing things, then you have a high chance of like getting failed in your startup venture. So you always need to have that exploration mindset. You always need to have that discovery mindset, and you should like spend very little time to validate things. Like you should not like spend like days and days to validate things. So if you just want to like validate whether you are see in a startup world, speed is the most important thing. Speed and like efficient usage of resources are the most important thing, because startup is like kind of like little bit uncertain. Like there are like lot of things that are happening, and like you have like very limited amount of resources. Like you don't have like 100 people working under you. You don't have a big team. You have very little amount of money, and you need to like quickly validate many different things, with which you can like raise more investment, venture capital fund, get some government grants, and then kind of like commercialize your ideas. So when you are doing this low fidelity prototype, like always just have that exploration mindset. Be ready to face a lot of failures. Like don't get fumbled with failures. Be ready to like start over things fresh again and again. It's all like at least like trying 10 to 20 different times of 20 different types. Like you can finally come up with what you really want to build and things like that. Then you go into the high fidelity prototype, and this is where you are going to spend a lot of time in validating like a lot of features, like validating a lot of details. If you spend like 1 month to build an application, and you go to a customer and you find out that the application is not going to be used by the customer, then basically you lost like 1 month of time and a lot of money. So that is why like if you just like take like 20 minutes to just sketch your idea, or probably even 1 day to like sketch your idea, you just go to your customer and find out, okay, like this is not what the customer is expecting, then like you just like lost 1 day. But of course like you learned something. You didn't like learn it in the hard way. But if you just build an application and kind of like failed, then it means like you learned it in a very hard way, which is what I don't want you guys to do. And that is the main aim of this rapid prototyping session. So using little resources to validate a lot of ideas. So I want to also show you one video about Dropbox. So how many people here have used Dropbox? How many people here have used Dropbox? I very well know that you all would have used Google Drive, right? So how many people used Dropbox? Yes. So yeah, Yeah, so many people these days don't use Dropbox. Yes, there is one student using Dropbox. Yes, so Dropbox was the first cloud storage provider, like even before Google Drive, OneDrive, and all came. Like Dropbox was the first cloud storage provider. Like back in the olden days, like probably like 6 to 7 years before, like I was like using Dropbox a lot. But currently I use Google Drive a lot. But because like in the olden days, like Dropbox was the first one to provide such cloud storage solution. So when the founders of the Dropbox had this idea, they did so because they were struggling with one problem. That's what like motivated them to found Dropbox basically. So what was the problem they were struggling with? Like they were working in a company, and once they go back to their home, it kind of became difficult because they usually leave their office system in the office itself. They don't like, because back in the olden days, like laptops were not used much. There were like office systems. So they were using their office system in the office. And then once they go back to their home, probably they need to like copy all of their work in a pen drive, and then they go back to their home and then share and then recopy all of these things in their home computer system. And then they work there, and again they copy all of the updated things in the pen drive, and then the next day they come to the office and they again recopy all of these things in the office computer system. So can you imagine like how cumbersome this was? Like they need to like again and again copy these things, and like version control was becoming difficult. Sometimes like they have a lot of files, they don't know like which is the updated version or things like that. So this is why they came up with this cloud storage idea, where they simply put this file in the cloud storage. They use their office system to work. Once they log in, like it is basically stored in the cloud. They use in the office system, and they go back home without copying anything, because they log in to their account in the home system, and they can just start to work with the most updated file. And of course, like it kind of like eased up collaboration also, because when many team members were using this, like if it is all placed in the cloud, like many team members can use it and like update it. So this was the idea that they came up with. But then once they came up with this idea, they didn't immediately build the entire system. What they did was like they just created a video. That's it. They just created a video of how the system is going to work. They just created a video of their idea. They just like created a video to show outside people how what their idea is and how this mechanism works. And they just like published this video, and like this video got a lot of attention, and since lot of people were also like struggling with these issues, like many people were interested with this idea, and just by putting up this video, they were able to raise a venture capital investment, and then they started to build the real product. So can you imagine? Of course, like even if they built the real product also, this product would have been a successful one in the market, but they probably like, why should they invest their money and take their risks? So they just created a video, and they published it. They got good response, which kinds of validated that many people are interested in their solutions. So this is the number one criteria of any business, any startup. You need to have customers, right? Like without customers, like how are you going to run your company? Without money coming into your company, how are you going to run your company? So you need people to buy whatever you are building. And if you don't have anyone to buy what you are building, then of course your company is going to get into loss, and then like finally the company will be shut down. So this is where you need to validate things quickly with people, to find out that there are people interested to buy your product. And once you have validated it, then you build your product and you commercialize it. So I'm going to now play this video.
Oh, the first day that we signed up for Monday.com, our department was already able to connect our
80% of the bandwidth. So that covers a lot of how we make it easy to access and protect your own. Okay, my name's Drew, and I'll be showing you a quick tour of Dropbox, which is a new way to store and share files online. What makes Dropbox different is that it just works, and there isn't any complicated setup or interface to learn. So let's get started. I've already installed Dropbox on a Windows PC and put a bunch of files in, and now I want to sync these files to my Mac. So to do that, I just installed Dropbox, and now I'm linking my Mac to my account. So in a second, my account will be linked, and you can see that the files that were on my Windows PC will start coming down. And what we're looking at is my Dropbox folder, which looks and acts like any other folder except for two things. One, these little green icons that indicate files are up to date. And two, anything in my Dropbox is synced across all of my computers into the web. And you'll notice that when I make changes, everything syncs up pretty quickly. And as another example, I'm going to log in my Windows PC, where you'll see that not only are the changes from my Mac already here, but if I make another change to a file, so for example, this picture of a platypus, and then I hit save, the change begins uploading immediately. And when I go back to my Mac, the change is reflected in a matter of seconds. So the point is, if you've ever worked with multiple computers or carried around a USB drive or emailed yourself files from work, you can see this is a much easier way of managing your stuff. And we also protect you from the bad things that can happen to your files. So if I delete a bunch of stuff, we have this web interface where you can not only get to your files in case you're not at one of your computers. So here are the contents of my Dropbox here. But we have this show deleted files link where you can select a file that you've deleted, and then you have an option to bring it back in a couple of clicks. So I'll do that, and instantly the file's back. And not only do you have the option of restoring the most recent version, but actually any prior version of a file, because every time you make a change, Dropbox saves a snapshot. And Dropbox is also very efficient about the way it handles changes to files and sends only the pieces that change. So in the case of the platypus picture, just sending the delta saved over 80% of the bandwidth. So that covers a lot of how we make it easy to access and protect your own files, but the other half of what we do revolves around making it really easy to share and put files online. So normally if I want to share something, I have to send an email attachment or something like that. But Dropbox has this special public folder.
Okay, so I don't want to play the full video, so hope you got this, got the idea. Just creating an explainer video like this kind of help them to validate a lot of their assumptions, validate whether people will be interested in their solution or not. And then with that, since that video went kind of viral, a lot of people showed interest, then they started to really build the application, the real Dropbox application, and they also got a lot of investment to hire more team members and invest in resources and to scale up this application. So apart from the sketches, wireframe, the mock-up, apart from all these hardware prototyping ideas that I showed, even creating a video of what you are trying to do can help you to validate few things, can help you to validate whether there is interest from potential people for your idea or not, with which you can kind of save a lot of money and time. So probably I will now show you some of these applications that you can use. So probably I kind of sent all of these applications in the chat window also, but I'm just going to show you those things. So this Marvel application is where you can just create your sketches, you can take a lot of photos and things like that, and then you can basically create interactive mockups. So basically you kind of take photos, maybe you sketch your application, or maybe you take photos, or maybe you use some elements like this, and you can quickly make an interactive application. So that will help you to validate lot of different things that as normal sketch can't validate. So this interactive application just has the front end alone. It does not have any backend. Basically, it does not store any information. It does not have a lot of functionality. It is just to make it look like an interactive application, make it look like a real application. But of course, there is no backend into it. It's all only the screens that are very interactive. So then there are other tools that I showed you. So Figma is there. So these are all some industry standard tools with which you can use it. But of course, they are very easy to use. You need not even know to code and all. Like without any coding, you can just use it. It's all like drag and drop. You just need to like drag and drop different elements and create a mobile application screen, web application screen, and things like that. You can also make it interactive. So these are used by many startups and bigger companies, bigger industries, which you can also use without, even if you don't have any knowledge on coding at all. Okay, so one last thing that I want to also show, I want to also discuss when you are doing prototyping is UI and UX. Can anyone let me know what UI and UX means? What is UI? What is UX?
UI is user interface, I think.
Yeah.
UX, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's actually the user experience.
Yes, user experience. Yes. So UI is user interface and UX is user experience. So basically, when you are building any prototype, like it can be a hardware prototype or it can be a software prototype. Basically, you have two different things: UI and UX. So UI, user interface, is like what you see basically. So if it is a mobile application, basically you see the home page of it. You see like how different things are like grouped together, like where different things are placed and things like that. If it is again hardware, of course, like you can see where the power switches, like where the connection ports are and things like that. So basically that is kind of the UI. UX is like what sort of experience you are giving to the user basically. So whether you are giving a, so for example, if your navigation is like very cluttered, basically it means like the person who is using your application is not able to find out what he is looking for. Then it means like you are not giving him a good user experience. So this is also very important when you are doing a prototype, because many products, even though they are good to solve problems, if they don't have a good user interface or if they don't have a good user experience, then probably people will not use it. So how many people here have been annoyed by YouTube ads? Like you are like very eager to watch a video and suddenly like there is a pop-up, like you see a ad. Sometimes like the ad is like, maybe if it is placed before, like it's still fine, you just skip ad, you just click skip ad, but then you are like very interestingly watching a video and suddenly the ad pops up. How many people have got annoyed with this? Like almost like everyone gets annoyed with this, right? See, this is a bad user experience, but of course, like that is what YouTube's business model is like. They are giving all the videos for us for free, so they want to make some money. So of course, like that is their. So even when you are reading some blog, if you are reading some news like e-newspapers, like many people will get annoyed with such advertisements which are like popping up randomly. Like it kinds of like distracts you a lot, right? So basically these are all some bad user experiences. So how many people have simply clicked the exit button when you feel that the web page is loading so slow? So you Google something, you click that web page, but then if the web page is loading so slow, like you just exit it and like you then click the second most Google search. How many people have done it? Yes, of course, like everyone does it, right? So again, like these are all some bad user experiences. So when such websites or web applications or mobile applications give such bad experience, then people will not use it, even though it is providing you some value. So whenever you are doing this prototype, you also need to experiment out with whether your user interface is good for the customer, whether you are providing a good user experience for the customer. A very good example is this. So you all know about this ketchup bottles, right? So basically there are like two different types of ketchup bottle. One is the glass ketchup bottle and one is this squeezy plastic ketchup bottle. So this type of bottles are nowadays used for many different products. Like it was basically the ketchup is the first one to come up with this kind of squeezy bottle, but then now you can also see honey bottles coming up with this squeezy plastic bottles. So how did Heinz come up with this idea? Because of course they were, so this is where good marketing is very important. Like, even though Heinz ketchup is one of the top selling ketchup brands, like they didn't sit simply like after selling their product. Once they started to sell their product, they also like went to the restaurant, they went to the hotels, restaurant to find out how people are using their products. So they found out that, like, you all would have like found out this also, like when the ketchup is at the last bottom, like it is very difficult to like pour it out, right? So basically you just kind of like shake it, and like you do all sort of things to like make the ketchup to like pour. So they found out that, okay, like this is kind of giving a kind of a bad user experience for people. Like, of course, when the bottle is full, it is very easy for the ketchup to be poured into the food, but when then the bottle becomes more and more empty, then it becomes very difficult for the person to get the ketchup out of the bottle. So then they came up with this squeezy bottle, which was very easier for people to just squeeze, like even if it is in the last bit of the bottle, then it is very easy for everyone to like squeeze the ketchup out. So for example, if you see this, let's say for example, this glass ketchup bottle is 200 milliliters, like 200 ml of volume, and this plastic ketchup bottle is also 200 ml of volume. Which will be having a higher cost, whether this glass bottle or whether this plastic bottle? What's your opinion? Both are having the same volume. Both are having the same volume of ketchup. Which will be having a higher cost? Any guess?
Glass bottle due to its glass material.
Okay, so you feel that the glass bottle, but definitely not the glass bottle. So you can go and compare this. I have compared this many number of times. Definitely this plastic bottle will have a higher cost because they are giving you some value, right? Basically, even though the amount of the ketchup that is present in both is the same, they will charge more for this squeezy bottle because basically it is giving you a better user experience than this glass bottle. So you can probably like go to a supermarket and like check this. I have checked this with a lot of supermarkets in India. Probably like I'm not sure if the supermarkets in Singapore or Malaysia. Probably in Singapore also I have checked these bottles, especially for honey. So when I go and like check the honey bottles, like the glass bottles are priced less than the squeezy bottles, even though plastic is a cheaper material than glass. So they are able to charge you a little bit more money for giving you this good user experience, which is what everyone does it, right? So if you take a ride hailing application, like I think Malaysia will have Grab, right? So probably if you use Grab, like probably why do they even have this surge pricing? Like maybe during the peak time, it becomes easy for you to get a taxi, but then they are going to charge you a little bit more, which is okay for you because ultimately you want to get a taxi in the peak time. So you are okay with even charging little bit more money. So this is how, like when you give little bit more value, probably you can get more profits. So this is what business is basically. When you give more value, you can get more profits. So some example of a poor user experience, like of course with my own experiences. So when I was like designing a lot of prototypes for my medical hardware device, I was designing the device something like this in the very early stages, where I placed a printer in this bottommost portion, and then I placed this device to find out if it is good. But then like I got a lot of like negative feedbacks. It was very difficult for the person to access the printer here. I had this display here. It was very difficult for the person to like navigate the display if it is like fully vertical. So that's why in my upcoming versions, I kind of like slanted. I placed the display in a little bit slanted angle so that it becomes easy for the person to like, because mostly they stand and do it, like they don't sit and like operate it like the computer. Mostly they stand in the lab and they do it. So having this slanted display, something like this, helped them to easily use the device. So see like how minute things like this can be validated when you are building a prototype. Such minute things you will not be even thinking of when you are doing this prototype. But once you are giving this prototype, you can get a lot of feedbacks like this. Like there will be even minute things like this, which will help you to give a better user interface and better user experience. Okay, so finally, to conclude, I am just going to show you one last video, which is very interesting. So one last video.
This is the #1 gift this holiday season. The all-new BlendJet 2 portable blend.
Making juice is easy. Start by taking a stroll down to the neighborhood farmer's market. Buy about $50 worth of organic fruits and vegetables. Don't forget to bring a tote bag.
Do you sell tote bags?
No, we'll just carry it. Did you forget your tote?
Wash your fruits and vegetables. Cut them, chop them, wash them again, peel them.
I think this peeler's broken.
Dig your juicer out from the back of your cupboard, realize there's still a part missing, find it. Figure out how to put it all together, then juice. And enjoy. Oh, but did you think you were done? Because you're not. Now you've made a big old mess that you have to clean up, the machine, the countertop, pretty much your whole kitchen.
Can't get those beets out of anything.
All right, so making juice isn't easy at all. It's actually a huge pain. But what if it didn't have to be?
What is this?
It's a juicero.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that word means.
It's
What's
a new
juicero?
word.
Okay, define it for me.
Juicero, the best juice ever. What comes out of the juicero is so fresh that it shouldn't even be called juice. It should just be called, I don't know, squashed produce, because that's what it is. Our founder, Doug, is straight up made of juice.
Literally, there's juice in my veins.
Doug and the Juicero team have taken care of everything. Not just the washing, the peeling, and the chopping, but the growing, the harvesting, the washing, the refrigerated transport, the inspecting. Did we mention the washing? The packaging. And finally, delivering to your house. And we haven't even gotten to the most genius part yet. There's nothing to clean. No mess whatsoever. It's so easy that it makes the old way of juicing seem, well, old.
Why did I do all that other stuff?
Who cares? That's our past life. This is our new life.
Juicero. The easiest, freshest, most delicious way to get juice.
Okay, so what's your opinion?
This video was brought to you by us, SlideBean. Make beautiful slide presentations in no time. Get 1 free month by signing up at slidebean.com/YouTube. Can 60 seconds and a unicorn that...
These ads are like so frustrating. Okay, so what's your opinion from this video? So what's your thoughts about this video? So yes, interesting, purchase, buy.
It's
So-
good marketing, sir.
Can you repeat again?
It's good marketing strategy.
Good marketing strategy. Okay. So how many people will buy this? And what's the money you can spend for this? How many people are interested to buy this, and probably like what's the money that you can spend for this product? Any guess? Like just random guesses. Okay, 100 to 200 ringgit. Okay, 200 ringgits. Okay. Okay, so I bought a handle juicer, was happy for a month and leave it. Okay. Okay, so probably like I could see many people are interested to buy this, but what if I said this company was a failure basically? So this company, basically, yes, it was a very good marketing strategy. Like you all kind of like, we all got a lot of inspiration from this video. Like it kinds of like showed you like how simple it was to make a juice. Like you need not like wash all of these things and things like that. So this company received, this company which is called as Juicero, basically they received around 120 million US dollar as funding to commercialize this product, but then finally they failed. So can anyone guess why they failed? Any reason why they failed? Any guess? Maybe it's expensive. Yes, one of the reasons, it was like 400 US dollars. Not fresh juice. Yes, probably yes. That is also one of the reason. Failed to meet expectation. We probably, I'm not sure, like, because whether it failed to meet the expectation, because from the video you can see that of course it made juicing very very easy and like less cumbersome. Not efficient and clean, I would not say it, because like that's the main purpose of this video, right? They showed you like how clean it was, right? Like you need not like wash anything, right? Like you just like place that packet in the machine and you just press the button and you are going to get the juice, instead of like you cutting all the vegetables and like grinding it and mixing it. Yes, need to buy the packet continuously. Yes, that is one more thing. Kiosk selling fresh juice in shopping. Yeah, yes, of course, like this is not a fresh juice. So yes, like there are like many different reasons, but one of the main reason was, yes, of course, this product was like, when they promoted this product, it was like looking very good. Like they kind of like raised a lot of investment and things like that. But then they forgot one fundamental thing. They forgot one fundamental thing. Why do you even need a machine to squeeze a packet? So why do you even need a machine to squeeze a packet? Like you have a packet, basically you just have your hands, right? You can like squeeze it with your hands and basically like extract the juice out of the packet. Why do you even want to have a machine? So this is why they basically failed. The company manufactured this machine, and the selling price of the machine was $400. So can you imagine, like for the $400, basically the machine is not doing anything. Basically the machine is just pressing the juice packet, which you can basically do it with your own hand. So this is why this company failed, and basically people started to realize that, okay, like why should I get this machine and things like that. So this is where like prototyping helps you a lot. Like basically if you just like of course, like maybe they would have even like prototyped many different versions, but probably they didn't validate it better. So that's what I would understand, because when a company receives like $120 million of investment, I am pretty sure that they have all the resources to like do a lot of prototypes and things like that. But probably they didn't like validate their core assumptions. They didn't validate whether people will be interested to buy this machine for just pressing this juice packet. So maybe know if they managed to make how many sales. I don't know exactly the numbers, but probably you can Google it and find out. So probably you can Google this Juicero company name and like read about their story, whether they got any sales or things like that. But finally the company does not exist anymore. The company failed initially, because like many people were wondering like $400 was like too much for this machine. Then all happened because of one news article. Like one news article, like the news reporter just got that juice packet, and he just demonstrated that you don't need a juice machine to press this packet. You can just like press this packet with your hand and you can like extract the juice out of it and you can drink it. So just this simple demonstration kind of like pull down the entire company. So yes, like that's why like I told you that you need to find many different ways of pulling down your own product, your own company. So that will make you fail proof. Like if you don't really do that testing from like different varied perspectives, so that is why you need to speak with many people. Like as a single person, like you will not have like many different perspectives to like test your product. But when you speak with many different people, when you speak with many different types of customers, they are going to give you a lot of different perceptions and ideas with which you can like test your product, and finally the product which kinds of like is rigorously tested among all these. Testing means please don't think that it's like electrical safety testing and things like that. The testing that I am meaning here is like whether the validations that you have been tested properly. If you have an idea of like building this machine to just press this juice packet, you need to go and validate whether people will buy this juice machine for $400. If they don't, then even if you build it and even if you like do a lot of marketing, then people are not going to buy it, and of course like finally the company is going to fail. So that's what I wanted to share today. So hope you all have a lot of takeaways from this session. So I just want to like wind up with one key point, basically, which is like always try to validate your ideas. Ideas are more important than validation. Validation is more important than ideas. So try to validate your ideas, try to do a lot of prototypes, try to have that experimental mindset. Don't feel feel afraid to fail. So that's all for my session today. Any questions? Any questions?
So far, no. I have one question for you, Dr.
Yes,
Arjun. I always ask, it's me. So the question is that it doesn't seem that prototyping promises success in the end, right?
Sir, can you repeat again?
It doesn't. It seems that this prototyping and the efforts doing prototyping eventually to a product, right, does not guarantee the success, right? Even the show on this Juice Zero, right? It doesn't guarantee the success. So what makes it success for a products? What they call commercializing a products? What makes it success?
Yes, sir. So yes. So in my subsequent sessions, like we are going to like see many different things about what a startup is and like what a business model is and how you can like validate many different things. So we'll have like a lot of these discussions coming up in my next session. But to quickly answer your question, yes, prototyping will eventually help you to learn a lot of things. But of course, you need to always like find out ways to like kind of creatively validate your assumptions. So that will be one of my topic in one of the upcoming session, where you kind of like note down all of your hypothesis about your idea and then go and like validate and then come again and like kind of like again come up with a lot of hypothesis and like validate. So this is going to be a journey. Basically, it's not like you have a defined starting point and you have a defined ending point. It's like kind of a journey. Even after you commercialize and introduce your product in the market, you still need to learn a lot of things. You still need to see how to market efficiently and effectively your product. So it's kind of a journey. It's not like it does not have a defined start and stop points.
Any more questions from the ground, from the students, or any staff, academic staff here? You like to pose a question here regarding prototyping? So another question about this prototyping, right? That we are experiencing prototyping in university. So what is the experience and the difference when you are doing prototyping as a venture to business? So what
Yes.
is different actually?
Yes, so in the university, basically, we don't usually go out and like speak with people. So this is where like there's a big difference between like prototyping for a venture and like prototyping for a university project is different. So this is why like we need to go actively and like speak with lot of people whom we think that are potential users of this idea or like potential customers. If we just like prototype it and if we don't test it, then of course like we are not going to learn anything. So even as a student, you need to find out like who is going to use this product. Like go and like speak with them, go and like show them your prototype and like learn it from them. So if you're building something like a healthcare application, then go and like show it to a doctor, go and show it to a patient, understand what they think about your idea. If you're building some IoT application, probably go and like speak with some government agency and see whether they are interested to implement it in your city. Like probably go and speak with some company who is like interested to implement your idea in their own projects. So it's all like there are like two different business models, like directly like business to business and business to consumer. So sometimes what idea you are building will be applicable for a bigger company, where a bigger company will be your customer. Sometimes what you are building, like consumers like you and me will be interested to use it. So you need to like define it also. So like Facebook, Meta, like even though they started as a business to consumer product, then eventually they also started to like promote it to businesses, because like businesses now started to like introduce advertisements of their products into the platform. So you need to like speak with people. You should not like just have a prototype and you should think that this prototype is good and just like do it. You need to go and like speak with people.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Arjun, for sharing. I think we will leave this business model to the next topic.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So we take a group photo all together.
Sure, sir. Yeah.
Yes. Could you switch on your camera? Hello, students. Can you switch on your camera? Let's thanks Dr. Arjun for sharing with us. Right, this is a very honest sharing. I believe this is beneficial to all us, right? Especially the idea, right? The idea of why doing prototyping. Please switch on your camera. Let's take a photos. One group photos. Okay. Camera. Okay. I'm taking it now. Let's do it. Okay. More pages. Any more? I didn't see your camera, right? Right, show your camera. Only a few of you show on your camera, right? Doesn't matter. So I didn't switch. Okay, a lot of camera now. Let me took a number of you. Okay, so I didn't take all these attendance and camera, right? But thank you for willing to share your camera and face, right? And let's thanks again to Dr. Arjun for his sharing. And you can type on the chat if you want to thank Dr. Arjun, or you want to say it out, right? I do encourage you, right? Abdul Malik, I do encourage you and all of us, right, to say it out, right? To say it out, yeah. I think the culture in Malaysia, in Asian, a lot of time that we are so keep ourselves, right?
Yeah, shy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Right?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah. See you all next week. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, say it loud. Yeah, say it loud.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, say it.
Thank you, Doctor.